Gazing to the Ocean of the Sky. Written by David Silver. Read by no one and nobody. Chapter 35. Repairs. Sleeping arrangements became slightly awkward. Cherry and Indy had slept comfortably apart within the room, with Cherry unaware of any attention she may have received from the love-struck but polite Indigo. Berry wasn't so reserved. When she saw their usual slumbering spots, she picked one right beside Indigo. She didn't attempt to force herself on him, but she made no subtlety on being near him. She was more casual about keeping his eyes in the right direction, at least until he went to sleep, which was the only time she would slip off. In the morning, they would rise from their pool/bedroom, have breakfast, and prepare for a new day's work.
"I'll cook tomorrow,"
promised Berry. Cherry tilted her head.
"You know how?"
Spike raised a brow.
Thanks, but I can handle it."
Berry waved off Spike's decline.
"Of course I know how to cook. You just sit back, relax, and watch as I prepare some real sea treats."
Together, they strode out towards the train, Berry glancing over the other two as they went.
"Hey, this reminds me of school."
Indy quirked a smile.
"I suppose. Yeah, swimming together in the early morning like this."
Cherry bobbed her head.
"Sorry I was so spaced out near the end there."
Berry waved that off.
"Forgiven. Besides, if you hadn't..."
Cherry perked an ear.
"If I hadn't..."
Berry raised a hoof behind her head.
"I wouldn't have been able to copy your design."
Cherry blinked softly before the magnitude dawned on her.
"They look familiar because they are familiar."
Berry reared up and put out her forehoofs a moment before she came down.
"Hey, easy there. Besides, thanks to that, I have a gift."
Indy perked up.
"Gift?"
Berry nodded.
"I used a metal pony like you did for the parts."
Cherry looked confused at the notion.
"Another one? Where did you find it?"
Berry waved off the idea.
"It was being stupid in the water, so I took it. I may even know where there are 2 more legs. I have 4, you know."
Indy looked excited a moment before the brightness dimmed.
"Wait, but those would be forward legs, not the extra legs, right?"
Berry thrust a hoof at Cherry.
"Nothing a pair of talented mechanical ponies can't fix, right?"
Cherry's jaw worked as she figured through the adjustments that would be required to make it work, even as she nodded.
"We could work with that. It has most of the parts we need. Indy, do you want to dry swim like we do?"
Indy brightened right back up, his thick tail swaying to and fro across the board he was wheeling.
"Yes, please. You'll show me how to, right?"
He wiggled his fins.
"I'll be using these, right?"
They chatted animatedly. The competition between the mares was set aside in favor of the work ahead of them. When they reached the train, that consumed them. Hours went by as they replaced part by part until all the new parts were exhausted. Cherry turned for the door.
"Let's go back to the castle, get a snack, and then head down to the smithy to pick up whatever parts she's finished."
There were no objections, and soon they were eagerly on their way. Spike had made them all a big bowl of what he called salad, but it lacked entirely in seaweed to the sea pony's confusion. The dry seaweed wasn't bad enough, and the vegetables and fruit mixed in with it were tasty, so they ate up quickly and continued their way down to Ponyville. Berry tapped her chin.
"If this friend of yours is that good at bending metal, maybe we should ask for the parts we'll need for Indigo while we're there."
Cherry nodded in easy agreement.
"But she's already working on the train parts. Maybe after that? She can put that on hold for a moment to get her precious Indy properly mobile."
Berry huffed softly. Indy found himself agreeing with Berry. The notion of dry swimming seemed more immediately compelling than finishing the train.
"It's not like we'll stop working on your train, Cherry."
Cherry pouted, but didn't argue it further. They arrived at the smithy, source of dry power. Berry gasped as she stepped into the heat of the place.
"Huh! This is like the dry, given life."
The smithy mare smiled as she set down her hammer from her mouth. "Well, hello there. When did you get another water friend? Nice to meet you. I'm Even Stroke." Berry nodded at Even.
"See, Berry, but Berry's just fine. Do you really control all this dry?"
"Oh, not you two." Even laughed merrily at the sea pony's curious dialect. "But yes, all this fire is under my control, or I wouldn't have a smithy for long. Now, what brings you here? More parts?" She raised a hoof towards a basket. That's what I've done right now. Cherry stepped forward eagerly and began to sift through the parts. While she did that, Indy smiled at Even.
Excuse me, miss, could you stop that project a moment to make a few other pieces?
More?
She raised a brow.
You fish are becoming my best customers. What do you have in mind?
Barry described a few needed pieces, gesturing with her hooves to better describe them. Cherry joined in, adding a few pieces to the order, and working together to better describe their needs. Evenstroke made a little scribble in her notepad.
All right, nothing too complicated. I'll work on those first thing, and you can stop by tomorrow for them.
Indy picked up the basket in his teeth.
Thanks, Even. You're the best.
Even waved it off.
I'm the only smith in town, so being the best isn't hard. Now, go on, before the three of you turn to jerky.
They fled the power of the dry, intact and with their parts secured. Barry pointed towards the train.
We may want to go get the legs.
The train project was postponed for the day, with some mild grumbling from Cherry. They dropped off the basket back at the castle before heading to the station and going to fetch the legs. All three eagerly dove into the water once they reached the beach. Swimming was a joy, as fun as dry swimming could be at times. They circled and danced an aquatic melody before they were interrupted by a meek voice.
Excuse me?
They turned together to see another sea pony, a stallion, smiling at them nervously.
Excuse me, you came from the dry, right?
Cherry nodded.
That's where we live.
So it's not dangerous?
Indy gave a spin in the water.
It can be, but it's full of wonderful things too, just like the sea.
Where was any pony completely safe?
Why? Oh, I wanted to see it.
He rubbed behind his head, looking increasingly awkward.
I figure if some foals can do...
Barry is no foal.
She crossed her legs and snorted out a few bubbles.
I mean, no offense. Promise.
He smiled a little.
If you could tell me how, I'd appreciate it.
Cherry brightened with an idea.
Well, we're about to get a dry swimmer. Why don't you take Indy's old dry swimmer for now?
He blinked.
You'd do that? You're the best.
He swam off to claim the wheeled device and began his own adventure in the dry. Indigo pouted a little.
How am I supposed to get back to Ponyville?
Barry swam around him quickly.
Have no fear, precious Indy. I'll carry you back, and we'll get those legs working for you. Promise.
They heard a soft stomping approaching them and turned to face a new intruder. It was a meadow pony. Barry clapped her hooves together as a devious smile spread over her face.
Stay away!
Warned the meadow pony with the voice of the unicorn engineer that had started it all.
You two, I wanted to talk to you.
Cherry tilted her head at the meadow pony. How was he talking like that? She didn't even see its mouth move.
All right, we're here.
You two love tearing apart my lovely machines for making walking aids for sea ponies. And I got thinking.
Barry raised a brow, but was otherwise silent.
Why don't I sell you the legs directly? You leave my machines alone, and you can get all the legs you want.
Cherry clapped her hooves at the idea.
That'd be fantastic. There are other sea ponies that'd like to see the dry. If we could get dry swimmers to them, they can visit whenever they like.
And you can stop tearing apart my machines. Deal?
Barry thrust a hoof at the machine.
We need more than the legs. Look.
She did a slow turn, gesturing back at the belt that held the legs in the proper place.
And there's a part inside where our fins go and help control it.
Cherry swam up to the mechanical pony.
We could show you how it's made. Then you can make them, right?
Indy glanced between them, confused.
Does this mean I can get my legs sooner?
Barry shook her head at Indy.
We'll still need to make yours. I doubt this mechanical pony will learn and have one made by the end of the day.
I'm not a mechanical pony. This is my machine, and I'm talking through it.
The pony looked at Cherry.
We met before with Princess Twilight Sparkle.
Cherry bobbed her head.
You were really angry before.
Tell me truthfully, did you break my machine?
Cherry crossed her heart with a hoof.
By the waves, I promise, I didn't. It was broken when I found it, with only 3 hooves. I did,
admitted Barry easily.
I know you did, you sea-based vandal.
It was curious hearing angry words from the impassive face of the metal pony.
Let's put aside past differences, however. If you're both willing to work with me, we can all come out of it ahead. Show me how to make the modifications, and we can share the profit from the sale of the walking harnesses to other sea ponies.
Cherry fished out a shell and held it out to the metal pony.
But land ponies use different money than sea ponies.
We can work out an exchange. You, man, you seem to know your way around. Your people make useful things.
Berry perked her ears.
All sorts of things. Depends on what you consider useful. Also, my name is Berry. Seaberry.
Great. And would your ponies mind carrying scientific equipment?
What?
Berry tilted her head.
If they would be willing to carry pieces of my machine into the deeper parts of the ocean, I would gladly pay for it.
A hopeful tinge came into the voice.
We can work it out, trading, goods and services. Just no more vandalism. Right, Miss C?
That's Berry.
She nodded.
Fine. I won't hurt any more metal ponies. Promise.
Indy circled on her.
Swear?
Berry frowned at him before she let out a bubbly sigh.
Fine. By the waves, I swear I will not hurt another of your metal ponies.
Or other equipment.
Added the metal pony. Berry rolled her eyes.
Or other equipment. There. Happy?